This comes to us by Anna Valens. And yes, if you're not familiar with the history of Anna Valens, I do not trust this person. I do not like this person. But theoretically, this person is fighting on our side when it comes to, I guess, censorship in this case. Not when it comes to Kirsche, but hey, that's another story. They said, a source reached out to me claiming MasterCard contacted Riot Games about the ongoing Steam/itch controversy. MasterCard is a major Riot esports sponsor. This is the message going around internally from Riot, paraphrased. MasterCard has asked Riot to keep an eye out for negative sentiments on official Riot streams. Riot has asked esports content creators working with official Riot properties to watch out for any negative sentiments towards MasterCard. Moderators have been told to look out for any unusual activity around the MasterCard issue. And if this was just a tweet on its own, I would kind of just roll my eyes at Anna Valens being like, ugh, here we go again. But there seems to be a little bit more backing this up. Head over to Reddit, and there's a post saying, Riot Games accused of blocking MasterCard Discord in VCT chat. And it links an article to, I know, Sports Illustrated, which, I mean, it's esports, so just roll with it. Riot Games accused of blocking MasterCard discourse in VCT chat. As MasterCard deals with other backlash, the payment processor and Riot Games are now accused of actively suppressing negative posts during esports events. As multiple different parts of the art, entertainment, and gaming industries are being impacted by ongoing crackdowns from various payment processors, it appears that Riot Games is being directly asked by MasterCard to monitor esports live streams for negative statements against the brand. Now, this is the same MasterCard that was community noted on X saying, we didn't do anything, guys. It wasn't us. And now this is allegedly, by the way, but if this is the case, if MasterCard was doing this, holy crap, bro. Like, they know just how deep this goes. And exactly, Victor Castillo says, the gaslighting didn't work. Now they go aggressive. Exactly. MasterCard is a longtime sponsor for Riot Games, dating back to September 2018, where the payment processor became the first global partner for League of Legends esports. That has since expanded to Valorant and other activations, including things like MasterCard Gamer Academy and more. Guys, there is so much money in this for Riot Games to do whatever MasterCard tells them to do, that their back is against the wall. And they're like, yep, what do you need from us, MasterCard? We need you to keep sponsoring us because holy shit, the money is incredible. That's concerning. However, as MasterCard comes under fire for an ongoing controversy regarding pressuring multiple platforms like Steam, itch, and other non-gaming entities to remove or restrict access to various items labeled not safe for work, it looks like the company is getting a bit antsy about online sentiment. Almost like all those phone calls and emails are starting to get to them, and they're a little bit concerned that maybe they have a problem that they cannot fix. Almost as if the gamers are rising up and they're realizing, oh shit, these people are actually bigger than we are. Riot Games statement and action on MasterCard payment processor controversy. This is where it gets interesting. According to the statement shared with esports on Sports Illustrated via an anonymous source active within Riot's wider esports and content ecosystem, MasterCard, quote unquote, kindly asked Riot to keep an eye out for comments during related live stream channels and events regarding, quote unquote, negative sentiment around the payment processor. The statement notes that Riot hadn't seen any of that negative sentiment around the MasterCard controversy related to Riot-owned properties. However, the person sending the statement did ask that instances of it bring brought up before, I think they mean being brought up, instances of it being brought up be forwarded to active moderators. So anything unusual is flagged, and that is in quotes, anything unusual. And then they link Anna Valens there and then says, along with that, reports that any chat messages with mention of MasterCard or specific phrases were instantly deleted, with those users being timed out for varying lengthy, and that's in quotes, lengthy durations. That is only the case on specific streams, however, as the NACL stream on YouTube was flooded with messages about the payment processor, with many viewers actively commenting on gameplay while alluding to MasterCard's actions against not safe for work games. And they show a screenshot here of basically every single comment saying something negative about MasterCard and what MasterCard is doing with not safe for work games. This is the second time Riot has experienced controversy with sponsorship-related drama in the last 2 months, with the previous instance coming when the company announced it would be opening the door for official betting sponsorships for its esports ecosystem. Steam, Itch, and the not safe for work payment processor issue explained, and this goes into some detail about that we've talked about plenty of times on this channel. The entire not safe for work art and games crackdown goes beyond just MasterCard, but it is a major name adding to the controversy alongside others like Stripe, PayPal, and Visa. This mainstay impacts gaming and esports through what the restrictions could mean for Steam and Itch, though it is actively hitting content creators through changes being forced on Fansly and other platforms as of late too. Essentially, an anti-pornography group known as Collective Shout made moves to target games across platforms, including Steam and Itch, that depicted things like rape or that in any capacity. This recently expanded to the point where Steam and Itch began removing swaths of not safe for work games, potentially numbering in the thousands over the last 2 weeks, as both platforms came under quote unquote scrutiny from payment processors. And then they showed the screenshot of the expos from MasterCard News that has since been community noted and completely ratioed to shit by the community. MasterCard has actively tried to distance itself from the anti-game censorship movement, with a statement saying it has not evaluated any game or required restrictions of any activity on game creator sites and platforms, contrary to media reports and allegations. Steam, however, pushed back on this, claiming that MasterCard communicated its intentions through other payment processors and related banks, saying MasterCard did not communicate with Valve directly, despite our request to do so. Valve said in a written statement to Kotaku, MasterCard communicated with payment processors and their acquiring banks. Payment processors communicated this with Valve, and we replied by outlining Steam's policy since 2018 of attempting to distribute games that are legal for distribution. Payment processors rejected this and specifically cited MasterCard's Rule 5.12.7 and the risk to the MasterCard brand. And for those of you that have been paying attention, President Trump just signed an executive order saying that this whole thing right here about, the brand, you're not allowed to now reject processing payments because of concerns for your brand anymore. Hundreds of artists and game developers are worried that the movements like this aren't stopped. The LGBTQ plus community will lose many of the communities and platforms that they help build through their dedication to representation and years of work. Isn't it funny, by the way, that these people that call us bigots are now fighting alongside us because all we've ever wanted to do was keep the freedom open for everybody. And they were the ones that were trying to close the doors on everything but themselves. And then when it came for them, they open it up, say, hey, we need everyone's help. This is censorship to LGBTQ. We need these games. Hell yeah, have those games. I don't give a shit. Don't take the games down. That's always been our standpoint from day one with all of this. Funny how that works, by the way. Hence, the massive movement across social media to get everyone calling the involved payment processors to make sure this issue is heard, which is clearly working. And this is Tam on Blue Sky. People need to keep in mind, this is the line. The reason we have such a breadth of styles and niches of adult content now is because people can make a living off of it. If we have our incomes demolished, 90% plus will have to stop and disappear. Action matters now more than it ever has before. Again, ironically, with the LGBTQ community being like, hey guys, stand up for us now. It's like, yeah, we always have. That's always what we've done. You guys were the ones that did. I'm not even going to go there. And it could go even further beyond, with ramifications for mainstream IP that feature not safe for work depictions of any kind, such as Grand Theft Auto, which Collective Shout has rallied against in the past. Without clear boundaries or restrictions, any game could be viewed as controversial and targeted by these arbitrary pushes. That's what's so concerning about this, is not just what they're trying to take down. I've said this before too. The precedent that it sets, where other areas are like, or the companies that are running these platforms saying, you know what, they targeted that game that got taken down, and even those other game that's coming out now isn't targeted yet. We're just not going to deal with it because we don't want to deal with it anymore. So we're just not going to sell. In a self-fulfilling prophecy of more and more games just don't get put out there. And then when they don't get put out there, they don't sell. Then those creators are not making any more games, and the entire industry dies on the vine. Whenever you open that Pandora's box, you're not impartial anymore. AppCharge CMO Gil Tovley said to GameIndustry.biz, today it's rape games and incest, but tomorrow it could be another lobbying group applying pressure on LGBT games in certain countries. Which, hold on a second. Why is it okay for you to defend LGBT, but say, yeah, I understand the rape ones and incest need to come down, but the LGBT ones, we need to take a stand. It's like, no, that's why you need to take a stand for everything. That's why you literally just explained it right there. This whole situation blows my mind that it's even gotten as far as it has. But thankfully, the gaming community has been standing up and speaking out against it. And if this is true, if MasterCard is actually impacting Riot Games right now and actively blocking negative sentiment over the conversations during Riot playthroughs being sponsored, I mean, damn, bro, you thought it was bad before with MasterCard? If this comes to a head, I don't know how they're going to recover from this one, but time will tell. But I'll leave that one there.